I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
Welcome back. On today's episode, we will have a revisit from Ellen Butler, but first, we will have an interview with Hannah Dennison. Hannah writes the Vicky Hill Mysteries and the Honeychurch Hall Mysteries, both set in the wilds of Devonshire countryside in England. Hannah has been an obituary reporter, antiques dealer, private jet flight attendant, and Hollywood story analyst. She has served on numerous judging committees for Sisters in Crime and Mystery Writers of America. Hannah enjoys all country pursuits, movies, theaters, and seriously good chocolate. Welcome, Hannah.
How did you get started writing, and what drew you to the mystery genre?
Well, I started writing, I think I always wanted to tell stories. Even when I was a little girl, my mom used to say I was telling lies all the time. The truth is, I thought that my stories were much more interesting than the truth. I think I've always been a bit of a storyteller. When I was a teenager, I started writing away to women's magazines, like for romance. But of course, I'd never even had a boyfriend. And so the stories were rejected and I was devastated. I was only like 16. Then I thought, well, I'm just a hopeless writer. And then I became a newspaper reporter, writing the obituary column for a little West Country weekly paper. And I think that's when I got really into writing. That's when I really decided that that's what I wanted to do. But the mystery genre, I think it's because I love the fact that we live in such an imperfect world where if you write a mystery, you have a satisfying ending. Everything turns out right in the end. The villain is punished. Things like that that don't normally happen in real life. And I also enjoy the puzzle. I really like trying to get a puzzle together and always try to stay ahead of the readers, which is really a nightmare actually when I'm in that moment of working out the puzzles, because it's only at the very end when things hopefully come together. But during that moment of setting all the clues up, it's very stressful. And then suddenly it happens, hopefully, she says, as I have another deadline due. I think I've always been interested in the puzzles of life, what people will do when they're faced with making perhaps unethical decisions, or they're trying to hide something that they wish they hadn't done.
That's very interesting. Earlier today, I had an interview with Carolyn Hart, and she said something that I never really thought of, that mysteries
promote the good, even though there's evil in the storyline. In the end, the good comes through.
That's absolutely right. It prevails in our fictional world because that's what I think people read, and they come away thinking, oh, everything is all right with the world now. Everything is back to normal. I think that appeals to me.
Is Honeychurch Hall based on a real place?
Yes, it is actually. And there's a bit of a weird story to it. It's a mashup between the house that my mum bought when she became a widow, which is called Dundridge House in Devon. I don't know if you've been to the West Country or...
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Oh, good. Where did you go?
We went to Devon. We were on a tour. Spent like one day in each place. It was lovely.
Well, it's nice because so many people focus on London. I'm about 200 miles from London. Yeah, so my mum, when she was widowed, she went and bought the wing of this country house in secret, actually. And she was 75 and it was totally inappropriate, very impractical, but she was determined to do it. And so I based Honeychurch Hall on not just the character of my mum who did that, but also the actual house where she went to live, and she couldn't afford to run it. And then there was also another house where I grew up. We actually lived in the gatehouses of the posh big house, and I took that house visually and made that into Honeychurch Hall. And then the thing which was really rather embarrassing, because originally it was called a totally different hall. It was called Harberton Hall or something. And my editor said, no, that doesn't sound right. Let's find something. Just pick a name off the map. I don't know why Honeychurch came up, but she liked that. And then we discovered that there actually is a Honeychurch in Devon. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's got 5 houses. When I started writing about it, I've had a lot lot of emails from people called Honeychurch who actually grew up there and have moved all over the world. And I've put them all together. There's like a little Honeychurch Facebook group or something.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
So weird. It's actually very neat because that was where they all originated from, their ancestors and stuff, in this weeny tiny hamlet called Honeychurch.
Are you a Kit or a Crystal?
Oh, that's so funny. I think I am neither. My mum is definitely Crystal, but she believes that I have to be Crystal because I'm a writer and she doesn't write. But my daughter is definitely Cat. I base her on my daughter because Sarah, that's her name, is so practical and very grounded. Fortunately, nothing like me. Of course, I'm a part of all the other characters, whether they're the rather mischievous characters. I've got a bit of Vera in me and a bit of all the other characters that are not particularly nice in me. I think that's what writers do. They pick parts of their personalities. A part of me is in every one of them, even the male characters. Or at least I know who I've based them on. Usually like ex-boyfriends. Come in handy at some point, you know.
Especially as victims, I'm sure.
Well, I often say I'm looking for a victim. Is there anyone that you want to get rid of, any old boyfriend or ex-husband? And I often get some information that naturally I change their names and things, but it's more the quirks and the characteristics that I find intriguing. One person, she said that her boyfriend at the time was completely allergic to water. So he would come out in hives. And so sometimes you just have to ask these questions. I think that's what makes characters so interesting, because they have multiple layers and maybe they're not the cliched two-dimensional characters if you pick real people.
Now, my favorite character is Harry.
Oh, I love Harry because he based on my daughter's childhood friend who I was hoping that they would get married, actually. So I'm terribly disappointed. He married somebody else. He was like 18 months when I first met him. They were started off very small. He was just like Harry. One of the things that I've done with this series, because I'm just writing book 6 now, is I've made the time frame really small, which of course means it's very dangerous to live at Honeychurch Hall. But I didn't want Harry to grow up too quickly because there's only so much you can do. I will have to at one time, he's going to not be wearing his Biggles outfit, for example. He's like a teenager. Otherwise he's going to be put into an asylum, I suppose.
Yeah, he's a delight.
Yeah, I have fun writing him.
Your experience in the Royal Navy is so interesting. Will you ever use those experiences in a book?
I probably will, actually. It's really strange. All the things that I've done in my life have been short-lived. As I think I wrote on my website, that my dad, he just despaired of me because I was so restless. The truth was that I was trying to find my way, and so many of the jobs that I did have all come back to be helpful to write books and stories. I definitely would do something with the naval angle. I was just disappointed that Wrens, they were called Wrens because they were women, didn't go to sea. I wanted to travel. So when I actually got into the Navy, and then I found out that basically all I was going to do was be a secretary working for some old fart in a building on shore. I thought that's not why I joined the Navy. I wanted to travel. That's when I became a flight attendant instead.
How did you get your first book published?
I was quite lucky. I did the writers program at UCLA in Los Angeles in the evenings because I had a full-time job. Through part of that course, there was a sort of master's class. It wasn't a master's degree or anything. We were able to send completed manuscripts off to an agent. Through that, I got an agent immediately because I was just lucky, but I had been working on the book for a really, really long time. So it wasn't like a fluke or anything. It was like 5 years, I think it took me to write the book. And then she shopped it around. But even at that point, I only had one person who was interested in publishing it. I was turned down by I don't know how many publishing houses because there were a lot more 10 years ago. But the editor who was interested, there was the only offer I had. She said, look, I can't give you an offer on this, but I want you to go away and I want you to rewrite it. I want you to change it from the third person to the first person. I want you to take out the entire storyline that alludes to anything to do with black magic, which was like a quirky line. It wasn't dark or anything. So take that out. I want you to set it in the the present day, because it was set in the 70s. I want it to be a standalone. I want you to write outlines for 2 more books. You have 6 months, and then after that, I'll read it, but I still can't guarantee you a deal. I went away and I cried. Then I ate a lot of chocolate, and then I thought, well, this is all I have. So I did exactly what she said, and they gave me 3 books, and then I got 2 more after that with that series. Vicky Hill. Once you've got 1 book published, you get into that groove. It's easier to sell books without writing a full manuscript. Can write a proposal and the first 3 chapters and send that out. My agent can sell it. It takes a long time to write a book.
That it does. We don't have that creative part of our brain working. This is our creation right here.
You have a lot more fun than me. I only like it at the very end when I write the end. The actual process is torturous. I think Dorothy Parker said she hated writing, but she loved having written. I like that because when I'm actually writing, I'm so miserable. But then when I finish the writing for the day and I think, oh, that was all right. Very strange.
Speaking of the writing process, what comes first? The title of the book or the story?
I'm hopeless on titles. It's always the story for me. Often I don't have a title until the very last minute. It's usually taken from a phrase in the book. And I'm sure that you've probably noticed if you read a lot of cozies that each series has a sort of theme or a play on words, which makes it sometimes easier if you write that sort of book. My first series, the Vicky Hill, follows just the titles of what a newspaper would be, whether it's an exclusive or a scoop or, that kind of thing. So that was easier. But with Honeychurch Hall, I'm running out of ideas, actually. And then I have a new series that I've just started writing that's due out next year. And I haven't got a title at all for that, coming up to be in the catalogues. That's kind of nerve-wracking. But we do get help from the marketing department because you have to check what other people have used as well.
Oh yes. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. You should run a contest for a title.
Yes, have your readers.
I think that is the most brilliant idea. I never even thought about that. Great idea.
Give them a rough outline and let them go. You'll probably come up with a lot of different ideas.
You know what? You're brilliant. No, I'm going to do that. My mind is buzzing now. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Do you have any upcoming books or events that you'd like our listeners to know about?
I'm teaching a writer's retreat, but it's on the Isles of Scilly. If you know where that is, it's off the coast of Cornwall. My new series is actually set on the Isles of Scilly. It's on a little tiny island there. I'm hoping I can get to the Poison Pen in Scottsdale, which is always a favorite store of mine, because this new book, Dangerous Deception, because I'm already writing the next one. I don't know if other writers say the same thing. It's like once I've finished the book, I can't remember what it's about, which is embarrassing. Then that comes out April 16th. So that's the latest Honeychurch. And then from there, I'll set some events up in the USA, probably in Orange County. Sisters in Crime, I think, are going to do like some library events and things like that.
That's great.
We thank you so much, Hannah, for being on the show today. We are such big fans, and this is a real honor for us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be invited. You're becoming a legend, you two. It's been really lovely to chat to you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I know it's evening over there, so we hope you enjoy your evening.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Hannah was a lot of fun. I really enjoy her Honeychurch Hall mystery series. It's a cozy, but it's a down-home town type characters, and it's a fun read. I will admit I have not read the Vicky Hill mysteries, so I'll have to check those out too.
Yes, definitely. If anyone would like to check out her books and learn a little bit more about Hannah herself, her website is
www.hannahdennison.com, just like her name.
So now we will have a revisit with Ellen Butler. She originally was on our program on Bookends number 9 way back in August of last year.
So you can go back and listen to that episode and learn all about Ellen.
And she is visiting with us today.
She's talking about her second book in the Karina Cardinal series called Fatal Legislation.
Welcome, Ellen.
Something that's happened since I spoke with you last, Isabella's Painting, which is what we discussed last time, actually became an international bestseller recently. It went to number 1 on Amazon in Canada and also in Australia.
That is fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was pretty exciting. I was running a promotion. It just did really well. It did really well in the UK as well. It didn't go to number 1, but it got pretty high up there. I was really excited about it. Hopefully those who got the book will follow through to the next Karina Cardinal novel. I've got a lot of good feedback from some of those who bought it via BookBub and some other Goodreads and those